All right, everybody, welcome back to another session of Rubbing Dirt. Today we got a very special guest with us, the USRA president himself. Not only is he a president of the USRA, he's also a driver, he's a track owner and promoter. Um, Heard a lot of good things about you trying to help out there in the sport. So I guess my first set of questions for you would be concerning, you know, the easiest questions, obviously. The tracks that you help promote, Hamilton County and Mason City, both sent me over towards you. So, could you tell me a little bit about both of those tracks?
Well, so we've been at the Hamilton County Speedway for the past 5 years. Uh, it's kind of where I grew up. It's kind of where we got our start at. Lived in Webster City my whole life, and started working there when I was about 5 years old, working on the back of a water truck, and just something that I always wanted to be part of the Hamilton County Speedway, and the chance came up to be the promoter here about 5 years ago, and we just took advantage of it, and so we've been out here for the last 5 years, and um, just been trying to make it work. Um, uh, and then the Mason City Motor Speedway, my son married Al Hana's daughter, and Al was kind of the same thing up there. He just had a passion that someday he wanted to run the Mason City. Actually, at that time, it was the I-35 Speedway. And so Al and I were partners up there for 3 years. And after he did that for 3 years, he decided that was definitely not something that he wanted to do. And he was like, okay, I'm done with that. That was racing, and I would rather be racing a race car than being a racetrack promoter. There's way too much stress, way too much time, and everything involved in that part of the deal. And I told the fair board that if I was going to do the racetrack, that I wanted to shorten it because it was a really, really big half-mile racetrack, and they allowed us to do that, of course, on our dime. So we went in there and we shortened it. We only raced one time that next year. And we actually, when we shortened it too much. We didn't like the racetrack. It was too small. It was more like a kind of like an Atchison. Not that I didn't like Atchison, because I really liked the ring. I don't know if they called it the bull ring or what they called it there, but it didn't race like I wanted it to race. So the next year we pushed it out another 100 foot and pushed the backstretch out another 50 foot, and now it races really, really good. And so now that racetrack I've had for 4 years by myself. So we've actually had that one for 7 years. I got 2 years left on my contract at that one, so, and one more year at the Hamilton County Speedway. So it's been quite the adventure. I'd say it was probably about 8-10 years ago. We were promoting. I used to run Oskaloosa. I used to run Memphis, Missouri. I ran Cresco Speedway. We ran the Hancock County Speedway in Britain. We ran Bloomfield. So I had 5 racetracks there for a few years, and we forgot how much fun we had doing that. And not that it was really fun. It was just a lot of work, and we were still doing the USMTS at the time and USRA. So we were really trying to grow our USRA at the time, and it was just something that when Webster City came available, I really wanted to. It was just something that I've always, being right here from Webster City, that it was just something that we wanted to do.
Now, certainly, speedways do take a lot of work, but not only on top of that, you do run the USRA with obviously the help of a good team behind you. Um, is there anything that's kind of special coming in on the works on either one of those speedways that you'd want to let us know about?
Well, we just, I mean, like at Webster City, we've done a lot of things at Webster City. We've done a lot of cool things at Webster City. We've actually shortened up the racetrack there a little bit. Just brought it in on the corners. We've done a lot of work there. We've really cleaned the place up. We've had the USRA Nationals there for a few years. And it's just one of those racetracks that it's clean. We've had a lot of good specials there. We have great help there. I mean, we're not there every weekend because we're out doing USMTS, our USMTS is our traveling series for modifieds. And we have a great crew. Brad and Sarah do a great job when we're gone. Mason City Motor Speedway, we're there, I would say 99% of the time. Our son Ryan runs that when we're not there, and then we have a great crew up there also. Jake Lacey works on the track for me up there, and when we're not there, like I said, we shortened that racetrack up, and then we made it a little bit bigger, and we got a lot of big specials up there. Last year was the first time we ran a late model special, and the guys that came and raced it, they just absolutely love the place, and we produced some really, really, really good racing up there, and we're looking forward to, now that we've kind of figured out the racetrack, and we've moved the wall from the backstretch to turns 1 and 2, and it really, really races good, and we're really looking forward to next year's races. And we got a sprint car race we're going to do. We're working on a midget race up there, and got a lot of special races we're going to do. And next year's our 25th anniversary for USMTS, and we're going to have a $25,000 to win, $2,500 to start special anniversary race up there. So looking forward to 2023.
I'm looking forward to seeing that happen. Now, obviously, it's kind of hard as being a driver, being the president. You don't want to say too much about, in your opinions of what class has got the best competition. But if you had to choose out there for both Hamilton County and Mason City, who would you say brings really the big punches out there the most, that really drives in the crowd for watching the heavy competition of back and forth action?
Oh, really? USRA, I mean, the racing is just very, very competitive in every class. The stock cars always put on probably one of the best shows. The racing is very, very competitive. And of course, that's a class that I drive in. But it just depends on the racetrack. I mean, I've seen some of the best racing ever in just like every class. It just depends on where you're at. Like I said, the late models, when we had the late models up at Mason City, that race was fabulous. When we've been to Webster City, the stock cars put on great races. Our hobby stock race here a couple weeks ago, we did some different stuff with our racetrack, and the hobby stock race was probably one of the best races I've ever seen at Webster City a couple weeks ago for our fall race. But I've just seen a lot of different races over my 50 years of going to races that it just depends on where you're at. We were at Lakeside for the USMTS race here a couple weeks ago, and we had a 40-lap modified feature that had no cautions, and it was a fabulous race. So that's the great thing about with us is we get to go to a lot of races over the years, and we get to see a lot of great racing. And it's hard to pick out one event that stands out, or even one class, because we just get to see so much great racing.
Certainly. Now, I know there's probably a long list of sponsors for both tracks. But is there anybody out there who kind of goes the extra mile to help make racing happen at those tracks?
Oh, geez. Yeah, there's I'm sitting here. I better get on my website with a question like that. We have Seneca Foundry. We have D&B Agro at Hamilton County Speedway. We have, let me type in the website real quick. We got Stein Plumbing, Stein Heating and Cooling. Carl Chevrolet is our title sponsor of our racetrack. Here we got let me know that you're going to bring up that one. Quick Star helps us out. A1 Automotive, Aaron's Ag Service, Avil Bank, Burke Plain Plumbing, and Motorsports. The City of Webster City helps us out. Diamond in the Rough, Farm Credit Services. The list just goes on and on and on. Gerber Auto Care, Good Life RV.
Well, if there was a place, where's some place that we could kind of give a shout out to that lets everybody see all these sponsors?
You just go right to our website, HamiltonCoSpeedway.com. That's our Hamilton County Speedway website. You can go to MasonCityMotorspeedway.com. Watch our Facebook pages, and then of course USRARacing.com, USMTS.com. They have all of our that'll get you right to our websites and all of our great sponsors. USMTS Summit is our main sponsor. Racing Dirt, Mel Hamilton Ford. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. And we've been, like I said, on USMTS, we've been doing this for 25 years. So our list of sponsors is huge. I mean, we probably have in total for all of our racetracks, all of our series, everything. We probably have, I would say, over 100 sponsors and everything. So it's just it's pretty incredible. What we've done in the last 25 years has just been very, very awesome.
Now, when you say the USMCS, are you referring to the American Touring Modified Touring Series?
No, that's another deal that we do too.
The American Racing Modified Series is a completely different thing as well.
Oh yeah, that's our Southern that's a part of our USRA. That's our American Racer Modified Series. That's a series that we've had now for 2 years down in Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Arkansas.
So the USMCS.
USMTS, yeah, the USMTS series is a series that was our very first thing we started in 1999. So I used to run the USMS, which was a series that was started like 5 years before that by a couple guys up here from Wisconsin. They worked for IMCA. They worked for IMCA, and they had me run their series for the last couple of years in 97 and 98, and then they kind of went belly up, and I started my own deal in 99, which we just took the USMS and added a T to it, and so we started that in 99, and it was very tough the first few years. Very, very tough, honestly, and the first year we had 18 or 19 races and about 5 sponsors. And each year it just kept getting a little bit bigger and bigger. And I think one year, we had scheduled like 96 races, which is, if you take 365 days a year, that's about 25% of the year we had a race scheduled in. We've been in Arizona, we've been in Illinois, we've been pretty much everywhere. Pretty much everywhere in the central United States. And like I said, the first year Kelly Schrack was our 9-time USMTS champion, and our first year, Kelly Schrack won $5,000 for the USMTS championship. I think our rookie of the year paid $1,000. This year, our champion Dustin Sorensen from Rochester, Minnesota, he picked up the championship, and he won $100,000 for the championship. So we've come a long ways in 25 years. Our races used to pay $2,000 to win, and now our races are paying anywhere from $3,000 to $20,000 to win races.
So since you do kind of run that show, I gotta ask this question: do they run on dirt or are they asphalt racing?
All races are on dirt.
All races are on dirt. Okay. Because I know when we say modified, I know a lot of different people go, oh yeah, I know what modifieds are. They're the thing that run on the asphalt, but they're just also like the dirt track cars, but they just run on pavement.
Oh no, these are dirt. These are all dirt modifieds. Like I said, you go to USMTS.com, you can check us out. We got lots of pictures on there. We got our schedules on there. Everything you need to know about USMTS is on there. So, and next year, like I said, we're doing our 25th anniversary. It's going to be a really, really incredible season.
Now, I certainly hope to reach out a little later down the off season and get a hold of a couple of drivers that run that. So, I guess my next questions that I'm going to gear towards are you being a driver. It certainly takes a lot to not only run the race team and the tracks, and I'm sure the sanctioning body of the USRA, but you still find that out there to make time to do all this. So I think that's personally amazing, and I don't think there's a lot of people out there that realize everything you do for everybody. So first question, as far as you being a driver, is why would you choose stock cars?
Oh, probably. It was one of those things that. So it started back probably in 10 years ago. Vanderbeek, they let me drive the stock car, and they had a car that was for sale, and I said, okay, I'll try it. And I went and drove it, and I was like, oh man, this is fun. And now it's just my happy place. I just get to go get in my car, and most of the time it's my relaxed time. I just get to get in it, and I've had a lot of speeding tickets in my day, so it's kind of my time where I can go out there and just get on the gas and have fun and do what I want to do. And stock car is just a class that I mean, no racing is cheap anymore. I mean, racing is just expensive, and that was kind of the reason that I did it. Was I wanted to see how expensive racing really was. And the thing that I like about the stock car class is I've had the same car here for 3 years. I get my motor fixed after 60, 70 nights. So each year it's a little bit cheaper each year because I'm running the same stuff that I've had for the last 3 years or 4 years. So as long as you're not buying new every year, it can be relatively cheap. But I mean, you're putting new parts on, especially if you crash. I just like the competition of the class, and it's just very, very competitive, and that's the thing that I like about this class. It's very equal. The rules are very, very close. Whether it's an IMCA car or USMCA or USRA car, the rules are really close. An IMCA car can come in, all they got to do is bolt on a different carburetor and different tires, and they can be very, very competitive. We have a lot of cars that race both USRA and IMCA, and actually the guy that won the USRA Nationals this year, his car was 100% IMCA legal, other than he changed tires and put a carburetor on. So, so it is possible. What's funny is that other people say that it just costs so much more to race with us, and that's just not true. It costs a lot to race. But it isn't costing it anymore.
Exactly. It does take a lot to just run the racing throughout the season. So
it does.
Now this is kind of going to be a funny question since you are the since you are the president. You're kind of the guy for the rules and stuff. You know, I've talked to a lot of different drivers and some different tracks here and there. But both sides of the fence on this question, but you know, as far as the rules go and stuff, is there any kind of, you know, like rules that you are possibly thinking about changing for different classes, or you know, is everything going to kind of try to stay the same, or is there some other stuff and aspects of the way we do point systems with USRA that you're considering changing up just a little bit?
No, I mean there are very in the rules section. There are some rules that are going to change. The stock car, I mean, each class has a few. Some of the stuff we're changing is just basically clarifications of some rules. Every year, drivers look for gray areas in our rules, so we have to go and fix gray areas. Like just an example is we say no greasing of trailing arms or something like that. So a guy won't have his trailing arms greased, but his bolts will have greasers in them. So it's like, it says no greasing, and he's like, well, it doesn't say that you can't grease your bolts. And it's like, okay, so now we got to go no greasing trailing arm bolts. And so we got to fix that kind of stuff, because that's what people do. They just look for gray areas. And so some of our stuff that we're fixing is the gray areas. And then, of course, you're going to always, every year, you got to just, you want to, there's a lot of technology in the racing world, and you don't want things to get out of hand, so you're always trying to fix things from getting out of hand. A lot of new products come out that, hey, you want to go faster, here's what you need. So we're trying hard to keep that stuff out of the racing industry, and so we're just trying to keep that out. So we do make some rules for that kind of stuff. And every year you find different things that you don't want to see get in there. So there are a few things changing. I mean, there's not a lot of things changing. And another thing is some things you find some stuff that people are spending more money on. Well, it's just cheaper to allow something else that's not as expensive. Like you can go to for an example, in the hobby stocks, we don't give them headers, and people are spending a lot of money on manifolds. Well, they're spending up to $800 on manifolds. Well, we can go give them a spec header for $225. So let's do that. So that's one of the changes that we're making in the hobby stocks. But that also gets us more in line with the pure stocks down in southern Missouri. So now those guys are getting closer to our rules, and they can maybe start coming and racing with us. So that's kind of our goal, is to get closer to the pure stocks down there, so when we're down there for the nationals, they can come and race. So our rules are, I mean, there's a few rule changes, not much. Actually, but when you called me, I was talking to my tech guy. We're going through the rule changes, and they're going to get posted here hopefully in the next week or two. Hopefully they should be up next weekend, or by next week, all the rules should be up. So watch our website, USRARacing.com. All the rules should be out here very, very soon. As far as our points, we think we have the best point system out there, so there won't be anything changing there. We're good on that side.
Like I said, it's from both sides of the fence. I've heard drivers say yes, I've heard drivers say no. I just talked to a guy last night who does run both IMCA and the USRA, but he didn't quite meet the threshold of the 20 nights for the USRA and the 25 nights for the IMCA. I've heard some interesting, rumbles here and there, because it was funny because you did give the IMCA a shout out here, and that's something I personally wasn't expecting, just because the rumbles I was hearing was the IMCA people cannot stand the USRA people, and tracks that aren't ISM, that aren't sanctioned by them and only sanctioned by you guys. So that kind of struck me off guard. I won't lie to you there. When enough people rumble, then something was obviously said. So,
well, here's my take on that. Is I have no problem with anybody, and I as long as people are out racing, that's good with me. And we make our rules. If you look at our rules, we make our rules so everybody can come and race. And that's what in my world, that's what racing is about. We want people racing, and we work hard to make it so that everybody can come and race. And I know there's a lot of people out there that disagree with me, and I know that they're one of them, and they're going to say, well, you don't want to race with them because they don't treat people right and whatever. But they can say whatever they want, and that's fine. And as long as you're racing, I'm happy. So we'll just leave it at that.
Now, would you be open to, since you are the president, would you be open to hearing from other drivers out there, as far as the rules, and them kind of asking you, hey, could we try this just for 1 year? Could we try this just for 1 year? Would you be open to any kind of suggestions like that?
That's stuff that like that's a good thing about our tech guys is they're always talking to racers to see if there's things that we need to change. That's where we differ from a lot of different sanctioning bodies is we do talk to the racers a lot, and so we get a lot of feedback from our racers. We don't just go and say this is the way it's going to be. We're not that way. I mean, 1 year we sent out probably 2,000 questionnaires to our racers and basically just told them to send them back. That's all we asked, and I would bet we probably got maybe 200 or 300 back of just stuff that they wanted to see. So our tech guys do talk to a lot of them, and so it's something that if there's stuff that they like, they just need to talk to our tech guys when we're around.
All right, certainly. So if you're a driver and you listen to this podcast, I know a lot of you were waiting for this whenever I let a couple in on this secret of who I was getting the chance to interview today. You guys can, try to catch up with the techs and let them know, hey, this is what I was thinking, kind of might be able to drive in some better competition. But I didn't mean to get sidetracked and go off into the president questions, but I'm going to try to reground myself here. As far as you being a racer out there, if there wasn't any kind of, things that were to hem you up, like time or anything like that, what would be a car that you would love to drive out there for at least 1 year?
I wouldn't leave the stock car class. I think it's the best one. So I've actually drove a modified. I I wasn't very good at it, so I didn't stay in it. So I've jumped in a late model. It would be fun to do it, but the stock car it's a challenge. It's just a fun class. Like I said, the racing. I was actually in a race one time at Oskaloosa, the big half-mile racetrack. I think there was about 9 or 11 of us that were all racing. We were side by side. There were 3 wide, and we were three or four deep, and it was just, oh my gosh, it was, my heart was just pounding. It was just incredible, and I wouldn't change. The stock car class is where it's at. So
Now, family obviously a huge deal to you. I know everybody feels as though their tracks, everything, and every one of their fans that they come out to, they're just a huge, big dirt track family, and I can't thank you enough for facilitating events to still be sanctioned by the USRA and kind of keep everything together and try to make that family continuously grow. Hopefully, it shows that you are human. People can talk to you. They can reach out, and you're one of those guys that goes out there and is willing to continuously help the sport. I know you guys over at USRA stepped up big during this issues of our decline in our economy. I know a lot of drivers said you guys stepped up big to kind of help step in and go, hey, we're going to do this so that it's easier for you guys to do this kind of stuff on the weekends. So I can't thank you on behalf of them and as a race fan enough for doing that. But my next thing is I'm going to go into the president questions, and this is kind of going to be where it's a little bit more difficult for you to answer these. Um, as far as being the president for the USRA, there's a lot of different things that go into this. But what would you say is something you would like to see brought into the USRA as a regular every year basis kind of class?
actually, I mean, honestly, I feel that USRA right now is really good right now. As far as our classes, everything is. I mean, I feel like Darlo has done a great job with our tech, and gotten the rules right where they need to be. As far as our classes, I think all of our classes that we have are good. We have had a few phone calls of people wanting us to run the mod lights. And we've had some people asking us about the 305 sprint cars. So I mean, if we were to add any classes, then would probably be where we would head. We even have these little Batwing cars that we've been racing up in Iowa. The class is growing. It's a relatively cheap class. There's about 70 of the cars out there now, so that would be a class that we would definitely entertain in getting part of us. Right now we have around I think over the course of this year we had about 4,000 to 5,000 drivers that raced USRA. It would be really nice to figure out how to get. There's probably one of the things that we're really going to stress on. I mean, one of our things that we really worked hard on is trying not to overgrow, if that makes sense. We've kind of been trying to take baby steps on our growth. Right now, I think we have about 38 racetracks that we sanction, and it's kind of worked out good because we pick up 3 or 4 each year, or 5 maybe, and we'll lose 1 or 2 probably each year. Bryce Hall has done a great job, and now Bryce has left. He has taken on a promotion. He's taken a job with Arrowhead Speedway. So I've kind of taken over the role, going back and going to be doing a lot of the USRA stuff until we get somebody hired. With that being said, I mean, our goal is I would like to figure out how to get to more of these tracks down south, like our factory stock class. Uh, we lost a few of those tracks, and I'd like to figure out how to get them back. I mean, we've changed some rules in our limited class that the tracks didn't like the rules we changed, and they were still the rules that they were on. To me, were 1970 rules. If that makes sense.
It does make a lot of sense, but racing is changing.
Right.
Some that could be for the better, that could be for the worst. You know.
Right. But it was just one of those things that we made the change on the transmissions and the rear ends, and it was just something that a lot of our racers wanted the changes, and of course some of the racers they only raced at a few of those tracks, and they'd go to the promoters and say, we don't want those changes, so they dropped us, which I understand. But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because you're always going to have the same guys are going to be winning the races, and the same guys are going to be still losing the races. So, but we feel that our rules are really good enough that that's one of the things that we really strive on, is to make sure that our rules, it's not a benefit. I mean, it's a benefit to have the stuff because it's cheaper, but it's not a benefit. It's just like the quick change in the stock cars. It's a benefit if you're traveling all over. It's a benefit to change the gears, but it's not a benefit because once again, the IMC cars can win on the 9-inch. So, and that's how we set up all of our rules, is that we feel the changes we make are to help the racers. If you want to use it, take advantage of it. If you don't want to take advantage of it, it's not a disadvantage to still come and race. So, that's one of the things that we really strive on.
Now,
hopefully that answered your question.
That does in a roundabout way. Now, when you look back at it, you know, how did the USRA come to be what it is today?
That's really a funny question, because when I started the USMTS, I didn't have any plans of sanctioning racetracks. And we started the USMTS in 1999, and what ended up happening was, like I said, the first year we had 19 races scheduled, and that first year, maybe it was even the second year, we had probably 3 or 4 racetracks tell us, hey, if you would sanction some classes, we would probably run your rules because we really like your rules package. And it wasn't until 2001 that we decided, okay, we might as well sanction some classes if they really want to run our rules. So we started in 2001 sanctioning some classes, and our first few years, of course, wasn't very big, and we didn't have very many classes sanctioned with us. I think, up around Worthington, Slayton, Minnesota, Fayetteville, Arkansas, were our first few tracks that came on board. And once again, it was my wife and I, Janet and I. We were doing most of our work out of our house. We weren't growing very fast. We weren't trying to grow very fast. Actually, we were doing USMTS. She was still working. We were both working full-time jobs, so it was just something we were doing on the side. And it probably wasn't until 2004 that I started taking it a little more serious. Or even might have been 2003. I started taking it a little more serious and started as my full-time job. And she was a manager at Casey's, and then in 2007, she quit her job, and then we're like, okay, if we're gonna do this, we got to do it right. And now we have 9 full-time employees, and like I said, we have 37 racetracks, and so it's come a long ways.
Certainly felt like more than 37 when I was reaching out to all of them. But now, you know, without the USMCS, you know, that obviously that's where this all got it started. It couldn't have grown to what it is today, and it's still growing. You know, you are one of the most popular, if not the popular, say, second rating under the World of Outlaws kind of sanctioning body. You know, that's gotta feel amazing just from your standpoint as the president, to see from the humble beginning, starting out with just sanctioning a couple classes, to now here you are sanctioning 37 tracks, I think, 10 or 12 different car divisions, um, having national champions represent you guys out there, coming on a podcast like this now, doing interviews, kind of spreading the USRA out there and saying, hey, yes, I'm a national champion or I'm a top 5 national points leader for the USRA. Do you feel as though this is something, with speaking to them, do you feel as though your national champions kind of become a kind of ambassador for you in a way?
Yeah, I mean, just talking to our racers, I mean, that's one of the things that we've heard a lot. They've won other championships before, and it's like they don't get the, I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but so they wanted to come and race with us because they get more sponsorship, maybe more. They get more people talking about them. People notice them better. So it was just one of those things that it's nice to be. It's nice to have people say, "Hey, I've heard of basically like Dustin Sorensen, USMTS champion. He's a good kid. He's just an all around good dude." And Tyler Davis, he was our USRA national modified champion. Very good. Comes from a very good family. Very good driver. And all the racers. I mean, him and Dylan McCown, they battled it out to the end.
I'm biased in that class. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I mean, and that's like I said, the way our point structure works, it's very good. And what's crazy to me this year is we had, like I said, I've been doing this since 2001, and we had some racers that raced more races this year than I've ever seen in the history of USRA and USMTS. Just hearing how many races some of these people have done, and even at the Nationals this year, the announcers did a great job. They were walking around talking to everybody, and they had everybody's stats. And I think I heard him say that Dylan Thornton, like he had raced 98 races this year, and to me that's just absolutely incredible that someone raced 98 times in 1 year.
Yeah, and I mean, now my next question is: you have a extremely young champion for the B mod this year, that being Joe Chisholm.
Joe Chisholm?
Yeah, Chisholm. Sorry, I can't read names to save my life sometimes. And on top of him, when we look down at the tuners, you have Grayson Wooten, who finished 4th. Does that kind of show people, in your opinion, more that, yes, this is possible to win from 16 years old all the way up until you're in your late 80s if you're still out there running?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, like I said, Dustin Sorensen, our USMTS national champion, he just turned 22 on November 2nd. He's racing against drivers that are. I mean, the USMTS series has changed a lot here in the last 5 years. Drivers are anywhere from, I think our oldest driver that races a lot is Al Hana, probably. He's one of our oldest drivers. But if I look at our point standings, honestly, on our Jason Hughes is probably our oldest driver on the series. But Jake Dustin, he's 20, he's 21. Tanner Mullins, he's 24 to 30, somewhere in there. Terry Phillips is probably the oldest one, I guess. He's 54, 55. But most of the guys and I look at most of our guys in our top 10, if you took their average age, they're probably in their, if you took Terry out, they'd probably be in the mid 28 to 32 range. So, but we allow, we're a little different because we allow 12-year-olds to start racing in the USRA. So you can start racing our class at 12, where other sanctions, I think it might be 14. The only thing that we ask is that, of course, you get the right paperwork filled out and that you start at the back a few times until the promoter and the parents feel comfortable with the boy or girl, starting wherever they're going to start. But nowadays kids are starting in different classes or starting in go-karts or whatever it might be. Some are starting at 4 or 5 years old.
Certainly. Now, it's funny because I did know you could start at 12. Just hasn't ever been done before. How would you feel hearing a 12-year-old stepped up and took one of those national championships from one of these drivers who's been doing it a couple years? Because of the way the point passing, the way the point passing system works is they could still start in the back and they can get a lot of points for getting those bonus points for passing. So maybe.
No, it could be very possible. That's for sure. I think our youngest person to ever win a USRA race was probably Jaden Larson. I think they still lied about their age. I think he won a BMOD race when he was 11. So
I think they lied about his age.
I think they lied about his age. I think when he got up there, he jumped out of his car and he told the announcer that night that he's like, I'm happy, I'm 11. And we're like, huh?
Wait a minute, hold on. We gotta review your paperwork. Now, certainly, that's something that makes you guys a little bit more, in my opinion, a better off promotion, as you do let everybody start as young as that and build up. And there is people out here who I know personally, I've sat next to some 10, 11-year-olds out there at the tracks, and they'll watch a car go by and they'll go, one day, when I hit the right age, I'm going to beat that guy. And I've looked at him and gone, you are calling out somebody that I know is not going to hesitate to put that front bumper to you regardless of your age if you get in front of him.
Right.
But, obviously that's how you keep kids in the sport. And without, the next generation coming in, we couldn't keep living and making the dirt series that we love grow and survive everything. Certainly it's a unique perspective from your side and from the fans. Everybody's got their own view on everything. But my question, I'm going to go back to a rules question for you. Is there anything out there that's possibly the biggest change is coming to any of the classes?
There really isn't any big changes coming, no.
Okay. Well, I did hear that there are some rumbles here and there of possibly LS engines trying to make it into...
Not USRA.
They were trying to make it into the USRA. Is that something that maybe down into the future you would be opened up to letting happen?
We'll have to wait and see on that. I don't see it happening for a while, but I know there's a track down south in Missouri that's they're putting in their rules package, but I don't see that happening for a while.
Certainly, but now the USRA obviously stands for United States there on it, or United, but
United States Racing Association.
Yeah. Is there any hope that one day this grows to more on a level of, say, I think the furthest track you guys have a sanctioned body out is New Mexico. So, that's kind of far out there, but is there a hope to one day, I guess my question is there's a sanctioned track at least 2 or 3 in every single state?
Yeah, that's always our goal. Right now, there's tracks in California, there's tracks in Arizona. There's tracks everywhere, and actually USRA was out in Oregon. We had 3, I think there was 3 or maybe 4 racetracks that we had in Oregon. We had them for a year, and then I'm not really even sure what happened, but they went back. They went to IMCA, and I think I'm not even sure if they're IMCA anymore. They're just back to non-sanctioned or what they are. But no, I mean that's always our goal is to grow and get into the other states. But like I said, we don't push racetracks to come to us. If they want to come, we're here for them. We're not going to send out letters to the UMP tracks or the IMC tracks or the WISSOTA tracks. If they call us and want to talk to us about our rules package, we're going to listen to them, and we're going to tell them what we have to offer. So that's how we work. We're not going to definitely go in there and try and upset the apple cart. So.
Oh, certainly not. Now, I did have a curious question about that. Is if you were able to accomplish that, would you hope to look at maybe an international place the next? Mexico or Canada?
Once again, it's same thing. I know IMCA has some Canada tracks, so it's just one of those things. If they had called us and wanted to entertain doing something, we would definitely look at it.
So now, where would you draw the line at a track contacting you and asking to be sanctioned by you guys?
There wouldn't be, as long as they wanted to run the rules, our rules package, we're pretty open.
So anywhere across this great globe, you would say yes to them?
More than likely.
All right. Well, hopefully we can help the USRA grow in a little bit of way, and I certainly do thank you for the opportunity to talk to you. I know it's not a common thing to happen. Podcasts aren't really a huge thing for dirt tracks, so, did this all kind of catch you off guard a little bit?
Oh, not really. I mean, up here we get, there's several people that do podcasts. We've been on a few of them before. It didn't really catch me off guard. And it's always nice to get on and talk to somebody. So kind of tell them, like I said, we've been doing this long enough now that everything works pretty good. So willing to kind of tell them our stories.
Now, before you go, is there anybody out there specifically that you would like to say thank you to helping you guys get to this point in time where you guys are where you're at?
Of course, we want to thank all of our racers, all the tracks that have come on board with us, and I mean just all the racers and all the tracks, all the track workers, our sponsors, everybody that's been with us this whole time. It's been a great ride, and hopefully it can continue. It sure is fun when you like doing what you're doing. It sure makes the job a lot easier. So we appreciate each and every one of them. So thank you.
Well, on behalf of us over here at Rubbing Dirt, got to thank our partnership with Dubby for making interviews still happen. And again, thank you to you, Mr. Staley, the USRA president, driver, track promoter, track owner, the man of 100 hats, it seems. We couldn't continue to enjoy doing things like this without you, without the drivers, without the tracks. So thank you just from us here, and thank you for your time.
No problem. We appreciate you calling, and let's look forward to a great 2023.
Oh, most certainly, and I hope to still get to talk to you a little bit maybe throughout the year, or if something big comes up, talk to you. If not, hopefully talk to you at the end of 2023 again, and get your opinions on how that season's went.
Yeah, like I said, just make sure you watch our. Like I said, we got this big anniversary race we're going to do, and watch all of our websites and Facebook pages, and it's going to be a fun. It's going to be fun. So
certainly
looking forward to everything. So.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to go out there and support your local tracks, your local drivers, and continue to help us grow this great dirt sport into what it is. And come join the dirt family if you're not out there yet. It's definitely a different atmosphere than what you're used to.